Support for Swan Song is brought to you by viewers like you. Thank you. On this episode, we're kicking off our look at the WonderSwan Color launch titles with the charming little puzzler Sorobang. It was released alongside the WonderSwan Color hardware on December 9th, 2000 and was developed by Mechanic Arms and published by Kaga. Mechanic Arms is a subcontractor video game development studio founded in Osaka by ex-Naxat Soft employees, which started operating in 1997. Over the years they were in business, the team was made up of a few planners, a couple developers, a sound engineer, and around 10 graphic artists. Until Sorobang's release, Mechanic Arms' entire portfolio was comprised of support work on other companies' games, often involving one or more of the aforementioned disciplines. More often than not, they were hired to handle graphics, whether it was sprite work like their work on Super Robot Taisen Alpha, or 3D animations such as some cleanup work that they did for Bushido Blade. Starting in the mid-2000s, Mechanic Arms' work largely fell into one of two buckets. Fitting for their name, they worked on graphics for many games in the Super Robot Taisen series, especially the Alpha and Original Generation subseries. They also pumped out so many edutainment and lifestyle titles for the Nintendo DS and Wii. In 2014, Mechanic Arms moved from Osaka to Tokyo and moved within the city from Akihabara to Ochanomizu to Asakusa over the next 5 years. In 2016, Mechanic Arms was acquired by City Connection, and together they formed a new subsidiary known as Naughty, which Mechanic Arms developers would be transferred to, leaving the last reported employee count at Mechanic Arms at 3 employees. I can't find any concrete proof that either Naughty or Mechanic Arms are still operating today. The Mechanic Arms website was last reachable in 2022, and the latest game Mechanic Arms released was Dexterra for the Nintendo Switch in February of 2021. Sorobang was originally slated for release on the monochrome WonderSwan, and this original version of the game was developed by a team of 4 over the course of 5 months. Once Mechanic Arms got word that the WonderSwan Color was on its way, the original release was briefly cancelled, only to re-announce the game following the announcement of the WonderSwan Color as a launch title. The development team over at Mechanic Arms spent 2 months colorizing the game to be ready for launch. Sorobang is a pretty straightforward match 3 puzzler whose name comes from the name of the Japanese abacus, Sorobang. This is because the game's mechanics involve moving blocks along the axes of the game board, not unlike how one moves beads on an abacus. Since the game is played in portrait orientation, the left directional pad moves the player cursor around the grid-like game board, and the right directional pad lets the player choose if they want to move the blocks along the horizontal axis left or right, or along the vertical axis up or down. Simply chain 3 or more blocks of the same color along orthogonal directions to clear them from the board and obtain points. To make matters a bit more complicated, every few seconds, some blue spawn zones will appear on the game board to indicate where the next wave of blocks will appear. If these zones appear as red, it's because a block is blocking the spawn zone, and failure to move that block out of the way in time will cause your miss gauge to go down. Empty your miss gauge, and your game is over. The game's 2 main single-player modes are just variations on that formula, with the time attack mode asking you to get the highest score possible within a 3-minute period, and the endless mode going on, well, endlessly until you empty your gauge. Any leftover gauge at the end of a time attack mode will be counted towards your score. There is a multiplayer mode where players can compete over a link cable and toss blocks back and forth to each other like they're playing Puyo Puyo. The game also had an internet ranking page on their website, to which you could submit scores by converting them into a password in the game. Sorobang is a simple game executed in a clean and polished manner, and the presentation is just top-notch. It's easy to see why Mechanic Arms was known for their graphics, as the design of Majoko-chan, the witch mascot seen throughout the box art, manual, and UI, is super cute. And there's just enough flavor and theming throughout the game UI to give it personality without distracting from the gameplay. While the formula seems simple, Sorobang can get quite chaotic at times, especially if you've got the stressful alert noises playing in the background because your miss gauge is running low. There's also a lot of room to optimize your gameplay and juice as much score as possible out of that time attack mode. I'd love to see high level gameplay of that mode. I imagine it being just as satisfying as watching someone speed queue. Despite being a match 3 puzzler, one of the most overdone game genres in existence, Sorobang still feels like it has a differentiating twist that makes it stand out even today. If you're looking for a game to keep your thumbs busy for a couple of minutes at a time, Sorobang isn't a bad way to do it.